I would like to think that in my time as a moviegoer, there aren't many movies out there anymore that make me stop and think, what the fuck did I just see? I was so wrong. And I mean this in the best way. I just saw Hail Caesar yesterday. I've thought about it pretty much all day, and quite honestly, I still don't know what I saw as a movie. So without any further ado, here's my review of Hail Caesar. Now there is one particular pain point that I got, not personally, but from what I've heard from friends who've seen the movie, and then what I kind of saw going in from the trailers to going to see the movie. One particular pain point that's going to cause this film not to do great at the box office and not to have a great word of mouth is basically kind of the misleading of the trailer going into the film. Based on what I saw in the trailer, I was going in expecting to see a lot of ScarJo, a lot of Channing Tatum, a fair amount of Jonah Hill, and a good amount of George Clooney. And with the exception of George Clooney, you really don't see those other actors in the movie almost at all. Which is totally fine if they were minor characters that really weren't all that cool. But from the little bit that you did see of Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, and ScarJo, they were awesome characters. They were funny when they needed to be. Scarlett Johansson had an amazing accent. I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect to see that from her, and it was awesome. Jonah Hill was quiet but awesome. Like, not so much his acting. I could take or leave Jonah Hill's acting overall, but the character that they kind of outlined in the 30 seconds that you see him in the film was amazing. I want to see more of him. And by the end of the film, you're just like, okay, well, it was a good movie. It was entertaining, but these characters that were really good and really well done were barely in the movie to the point where you might not have you would have been better off not having them in the film in the first place. So I think if anything hurts this movie most of all from a critical standpoint and from a box office standpoint, it's the fact that you're going to go in thinking you're going to go see a particular movie in mind, and you're going to get a completely different movie. For some people, that's going to be a good experience, a surprising experience. I love being surprised in theaters. So I enjoyed it quite a bit, enjoyed not knowing what to expect, because you don't really get that out of trailers that much in movies anymore. So I liked it. I can see how that can be very misleading. So the people that are going to see the movie to go see one particular type of movie are going to get a different one entirely. But other than that, the movie was fantastic. I enjoyed it. It was extremely funny, and it was awesome. I do believe what the Coen brothers were trying to accomplish in this film was accomplished really well, and that was to make an homage to classic cinema making. And I really enjoyed that part of the movie because you don't see it too often. One scene in particular that really struck me and I really enjoyed was a scene where one of the main characters is debuting a movie that he starred in, and he's basically dressed up in an amazing suit going out to the theater. Everyone else is dressed in ball gowns and is dressed really nicely, and the theater they go to is just beautiful. It's really well laid out. As someone who is what I refer to as like a modern cinema goer, someone who has gone to movies, I've gone to movies my entire life. I'm only 25, obviously, so I'm not that old, but the modern cinema experience is very different than what it was. Now it's very casual. It's not a big deal. Whereas back then it was a night to go out. Like, you were dressed up, you were going out in the town, you were dressed your best. The theaters looked amazing. So I really enjoyed kind of being taken back to that time, taken back to seeing, what cinema was. And honestly, I started thinking right away, I'm like, man, I would go to a theater that looks that incredible, even if the upcharge was a little bit more. Unfortunately, there's not much in my area that offers that kind of experience. The most my theater has is a pretty cool staircase that leads up to like the Ultra Screen theater. But I mean, it took you back to the past, and it did so convincingly while still being funny, while still being lighthearted in a lot of places. And honestly, those scenes were just amazing, and they kept me captivated the whole time. There was a movie that came out about, I would say, a year ago, maybe two, called Draft Day, starring Kevin Costner. And while these movies are extremely different, they did have one thing in common, and that was the main lead actors in the movies, main lead characters in the movies, were basically in charge of this big organization, and they both had to go through these extremely stressful days where they just had a lot of shit just thrown at them, and they were the only ones really equipped to deal with it. And that's what I liked about Hail Caesar. Josh Brolin plays Eddie Mannix, or Maddox, I don't remember which it is because they kind of say it a little quickly in the movie, so it could be either one for me. Anyways, he plays Eddie Mannix. He is the sort of the manager, the person who runs Capitol Pictures, this place that produces movies. And he works on this big ass lot with tons of movies going on left and right, tons of little productions going on left and right. He's got to juggle that while one of his main actors in a big production picture called Hail Caesar was kidnapped and is held at ransom by a group of communists. They want to even the score a little bit. They are the writers on this production set. They write the movies, and they feel like they're not being valued overall. And when communism comes into the picture, they feel like that's an opportunity where they can be valued and compensated evenly, instead of just the production companies getting all this money, all these royalties, and then leaving them with essentially pennies on the dollar for what they think is the most important part of a picture. And I don't know why, I've always enjoyed movies that put you in show you a stressful situation, show you someone dealing with that stressful situation and coming out on top, or at least to some degree winning in a way. I've always enjoyed those movies because they kind of build the tension to some degree, and you kind of get that build up, you get that build up through the entire movie, and then it gives you an awesome payoff at the end. But that brings me to my second issue with this film. I enjoyed the ride. It was awesome seeing all the shit that Eddie Mannix had to go through. However, the downside is that at the end of the day, the end of the movie is just okay. It's a good ending. It's one of those endings that everything fits really neat. Everything is resolved by the end of the movie, so you should feel good. But the payoff itself, the climax of it, just wasn't all that impressive, to be honest with you. It just kind of felt like Eddie Mannix is going through another day. You know, like he's just a cool cat that does what he does, and that's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's my review. I thoroughly enjoyed the film, but I enjoyed it as someone who goes to movies a lot. I am not just your kind of common moviegoer. I go to movies 3-4 times a week, sometimes more. I think I saw Star Wars like 6 times. I don't know. But it's one of those things where I think the common viewer probably won't enjoy the movie as much as people who are reviewing films. That's why if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's rated like 80% on Rotten Tomatoes by reviewers, by critics, but the actual user rating is much lower. It's like under 50% now, because it's a movie meant for people who are either in the industry to appreciate, or a movie that moviegoers, that people are always going to movies, are made to appreciate, because you can kind of see the old and the new. You get to feel that stress. You kind of get to see behind the scenes of what it goes into a production, what goes into making a movie. And I think some people will appreciate that, but I think a lot of people won't. So while I do recommend go see this movie is awesome. Take my opinion with a grain of salt, because I think I'm a little biased in this very rare opinion. Unfortunately, I like to be unbiased, but I think that the main reason I like this movie was because of how much I go to theaters. But thanks for stopping by. Feel free to hit that like button if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. If you want to get more of our awesome content, go to madmazreviews.com, where we put anime reviews, movie reviews, and television reviews on there. And leave your comments. Let me know what you think.